Okay, you guys, let's go ahead and get started. Welcome to the channel. Today, we're going to get into the season finale of Welcome to Derry. Pennywise the Clown. We're going to get into that. Killer clowns from outer space. And then we're going to go take a look at another big nothing burger sandwich. The Epstein pictures. The update and some of the Epstein files that are supposed to be released today any minute. But first, we are going to start with some breaking news on Charlie Kirk that you probably haven't heard yet because there's been a media blackout. Now, if you believe all of this is real, and I say that because it's completely plausible that this is just one giant psychological operation, but I like to track these things just in case. And before you dismiss what I'm about to tell you, understand there has been a 100% media blackout. 0 search results for what amounted to the top trending news on yesterday on Candace Owens' show. In fact, Twitter won't even mention it. These are all the trends over the last 24 hours. And I searched this page, and nowhere in here do you see Candace Owens at all. There has been 100% media blackout on the subject. Now, what am I talking about? Well, here we go. On her show yesterday, she invited a guest that had been at Fort Huachuca and claims that he saw with 95 to 98% certainty, he saw Erica Kirk. He saw a congressman from Nevada and the Turning Point top head of security, Harpole is his name. This was 24 hours to 48 hours before Charlie Kirk was allegedly shot. He saw all those people with 95 to 99% certainty, which suggests there was some kind of secret meeting. He also said there was top brass at this particular base. And so why is this different than her other podcast? Well, she finally got to the point. She finally provided someone who could vouch for what was going on and who they saw with 99% certainty at this base. And this suggests that there was some kind of planning phase going on in the hours leading up to Charlie Kirk's death, if you believe all this is real. Now, I think it's a strong indicator that they are hiding this one of her top podcasts. It's being hidden. So that suggests something, doesn't it? It suggests that she probably is over the target. Now, this man that she introduced had high-level security clearance. He wasn't just some random guy. She actually showed his security badges and his security clearance. He was Special Forces, and he was the guy who found the tunnels going under the border. He reported it, and he has been under a gag order for the last 35 years. He came out of the gag order, went to the base for questions, and just happened to stumble upon the situation that I just described to you. So we're going to see how all this plays out. I'm still 50-50 on all this stuff. It sounds like an operation. It sounds like a psychological operation, but I always like to hold out hope. This is why we're tracking it and watching it. Now, let's get into Welcome to Derry. Now, we're going to pick up where essentially the military has just removed some shards. A shard, a piece of a comet, a falling star, that was acting as a fence to contain Pennywise the Clown. They pull this shard out of the ground. The fence is now broken. Pennywise can now escape because there's no more containment. And Pennywise makes his way to the school gym, and he steals all the children out of the school gym, and he holds them in stasis as you can see in the image here, in a caravan behind his circus wagon. Now, what's this all about? Well, viewer discretion, because Pennywise is the creepiest clown ever made to date, in my opinion. If you're sensitive to the images that I'm going to show you and the sounds, it's best to turn this off now and come back at the end of the show when we're talking about other things. But let's go ahead and get started. This is crazy, you guys. Watch. Now, this is Pennywise, and he's blowing on a tuba, and I'll give you the spiritual significance of that. And these are the children in the caravan, held in a stasis, levitating and following behind. Now, this whole thing immediately brought me back to the Old Testament. The ancient Israelites in the caravan behind the Ark of the Covenant. And it also took me back to the Ethiopian apocryphal writing called the Tabernacles, which describes the Ark of the Covenant as having anti-gravitical properties. Now, we know there was a lot of gold on the Ark of the Covenant, and it was likely impossible for two men to carry it. And so we know that the Ark essentially carried itself. It was the force of God. And the Tabernacles says that the Ark of the Covenant also carried the caravan. Let's read. This is the Tabernacles, number 58, how Solomon rose up to slay them. Thus spake King Solomon. Now let me tell you the backdrop of this. This is just after Solomon's son, named Menelik, who was the son of Solomon by the Queen of Sheba. He stole the Ark of the Covenant, and he was on his way back to Ethiopia from Jerusalem. And it literally says that the Ark of the Covenant laid waste to all of the Egyptian idols. Let's read. Thus spake Solomon, and the king rose up in wrath and set out to pursue the men of Ethiopia. And when the king and his nobles and his mighty men of war rose up, the elders of Israel and the widows and the virgins gathered together in the house of God, and they wept for Zion. Now Zion is the name they're giving to the Ark of the Covenant. For the tabernacle of the law of God had been taken away from them. Now, after Zadok had remained senseless for a season, his heart returned to him. And then the king commanded the soldiers go forth on the right hand and on the left, and on the chance that some of the fugitives might turn aside from fear of the theft. And the king himself rose up and followed the track of the road of the men of Ethiopia, and he set out mounted horsemen so that they might ride on before him and find out where they were, and might return and bring him news of them. So Solomon's chasing Menelik back to Ethiopia to get the Ark of the Covenant back. And the horsemen journeyed on and came to the country of Egypt, which is Mezer or Mizraim, where the men of Ethiopia had encamped with their king, where they had made peace with Zion, the Ark of the Covenant, and they rejoiced. And the soldiers of King Solomon questioned the people, and the men of the country of Egypt said unto them, some days ago certain men of Ethiopia passed here, and they traveled swiftly in wagons, like the angels, and they were swifter than the eagles of the heavens. And the king's soldiers said unto them, how many days ago is it since they left you? And the men of Egypt said to them, this day is the 9th day since they left us. And some of the king's horsemen who returned said unto Solomon, 9 days have passed since they left Egypt. Some of our companions have gone to seek for them at the sea of Eritrea, but we came back that we might report this to thee. Bethink thyself, O king, O beseech thee. On the 2nd day they went forth from thee, and they arrived at the 3rd day at the river Takazi, the land of Egypt. And we being sent forth by thee from Jerusalem, arrived on the day of the Sabbath, and we came back to thee today, the day of the fourth day of the week. Consider is thy wisdom the distance which those men traversed. And the king was wroth and said, seize the 5 of them until we find the truth of their words. And the king and his soldiers marched quickly, and they came to Gaza. And the king asked the people, saying, when did my son leave you? And they answered and said, unto them he left us 3 days ago. And having loaded their wagons, none of them traveled on the ground, but in wagons that were suspended in the air. And they were swifter than the eagles that are in the sky. And all their baggage traveled with them in wagons above the winds. As for us, we thought that thou hadst in thy wisdom made them to travel in wagons above the winds. And the king said unto them, was Zion, the tabernacle of the law of God, with them? And they said, we did not see anything. Now we go to the next chapter here, and they talk about the Egyptian idols being laid waste to. It says here, but he never traveled in this wise, like Pennywise, in a wagon of the winds. And those who were in the cities and towns were witnesses that when these men came into the land of Egypt, our gods and the gods of the king fell down and were dashed into pieces. And the towers of the idols were likewise broken into fragments. And they asked the priests of the gods, diviners of Egypt, the reason why our gods had fallen down. And they said unto us, the tabernacle of the God of Israel, which came down from heaven, is with them, and will abide in their country forever. And it was because of this that when they came into the land of Egypt, our gods were broken into fragments. Now, we now know in present day that yes, there was some kind of cataclysm that happened in Egypt. And I wonder if this apocryphal text explains that this in fact was the case. Now let's keep going, because I believe this is what they're depicting here in this caravan behind the wagon, the wise, the Pennywise. Now let's keep playing this here, because this is crazy. I believe what's being depicted here as Pennywise crosses a frozen river is the dark side version of the Ark of the Covenant of the Bible, the children or the child sacrifice, levitating caravan crossing the frozen Red Sea of sacrifice. And inside of the wagon, Pennywise's wagon, is the holy tent of the tabernacle, the dark tent, the dark side version. And I believe the tuba that he's blowing on is the pillar of cloud by day. Here it is right here. Here's a depiction of the biblical 12 tribes of Israel following the Ark of the Covenant with the pillar of cloud by day, which seems to match up with what they're depicting here in Welcome to Derry. This is insane, you guys. Look at this. It's the same thing. Now, tuba have a particular shape. It's like a pillar. It's like a tornado, I guess you could say. And I think that that's what they were depicting there. Now, the children behind the ark, the dark ark, they become either the Ethiopians escaping with the Ark of the Covenant from Jerusalem, or this could be the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, this group of children are trying to save them. These three here, they're trying to save the other children that are in the caravan. And Pennywise then confronts one of the girls who says, oh, let's talk about this black stone first. So these three children are trying to save the rest. And they're using this black stone. This is a shard, which is from the comet that Pennywise the spirit arrived on Earth. And because he arrived in this, it becomes like this is the one shard that was removed from Pennywise's cage, which is why he was able to wreak havoc and escape. But essentially, this is what they use as a weapon against Pennywise. He's helpless. He's rendered helpless when they wield this dark shard, this black stone, you could call it. And they spot the caravan on the ice and they try to approach it to confront Pennywise and get their friend back. But look at this. This is crazy. They zoom in on this, and there you see the golden arches. McDonald's. Now we're going to double down on that because I'm going to show you our Killer Clowns from Outer Space decode, in which we showed you Joe Biden and Donald Trump. That was several years ago. I'm going to show you some screenshots from that. But essentially at this point, Pennywise confronts one of the girls who he says will have his baby. Or have a baby. Let's watch this part. Now here's where things get a little bit creepy.
Let's find out.
I get confused. Friends bring me my death.
He says, your friends bring me my death. I'm confused.
Or is it birth?
Or is it birth?
Tomorrow, yesterday, it's all
Tomorrow, yesterday, it's all the same.
the same for little Pennywise.
Now, it's a little bit out of order, but here are the levitating children. Here are the three girls. They confront Pennywise. They have the shard with them. And it's apparent that Pennywise knows the future. He accuses one of the girls of one day having a baby that will kill him in the future timeline. So it's revealed that Pennywise is a time traveler. And I'll explain what that means because it doesn't mean what you think it means. But they confront Pennywise and he basically calls them names. He gives each of them a name. What is the name? The fool, the freak, and the failure. FFF, which alphanumerically is 666. Let's watch.
But who is who? Oh, the fool, the freak, the failure.
So it's obvious what he's getting at here. Now, what is this about? Well, let's back up here because this scene here reminds me of the followers of the clown. We all know who the clown is now. We know who the clown is because the clown has been revealed, hasn't it? The mindless followers who believe Trump. Trump is Pennywise the clown. And I know this might seem far-fetched to some of you, but let's look at the double digits connecting Skarsgård, who plays Pennywise, and Trump. And I could not even believe this. Skarsgård was born on August 9th, 55 days after Trump. All these double digits you're going to see here. 55 days. Skarsgård was born on the 222nd day in leap years, 144 remaining. All double and triple digits. That's the doubling. We know that leap years stand for time travel. We figured that one out. And Skarsgård has all of the hallmarks of the Trump time traveler. Now, what else is going on? Well, here's Trump's birthday. And again, remember the leap year is the key. This is why Trump built his penthouse on the 66th floor, because in leap years, he was born on the 166th day of the year. 66th floor penthouse. Presidents are elected in leap years. Are you awake yet? I hope you are. Now, we did many videos already setting this up. The creepy clown matrix. We decoded killer clowns from outer space. We found the Trump archetype. There he is. And we also found the Joe Biden archetype. there he is. And in Killer Clowns from Outer Space, when we decoded this, they drove around in this creepy ice cream truck and they sipped basically the life force out of their victims with a straw after they put them in cocoons. Here's a good wide shot of all the creepy clowns from outer space. You could say this guy looks a little bit like Biden here. And then this is Trump. This is the Trump archetype. One of these two. And it seems like all the political characters are in this. Now, next, Pennywise confronts the girl. And let's see, we got through that part. And now she explains what Pennywise is. Watch.
What if he does see time differently? What if he can go backwards? I know it sounds crazy, but what if he tries to go back and kill someone from the time before we were born?
So remember, she's going to have the child who's going to kill Pennywise, and he knows this.
You mean to the past? Like our parents? I guess.
I'm pausing this intermittently because I didn't have time to edit this whole thing. But let's keep playing this here.
It'll be someone else's fight. All the same. What? That's why he wanted to kill me. He said, to him, the past, present, and future are all the same.
The past, present, future are all the same. Now, what's this about? Well, it isn't about true time travel. This is about possession. Possession of spirits and host bodies down through time. These spirits become more and more wise over time because they literally set up the world's systems of tyranny and usury. They can amass huge amounts of wealth because they know how to work the system that they created. This is probably why they intermarry, so they can keep the demonic spirit in the family and it can just keep possessing new people in the bloodline. Let's keep listening here.
And that his death was actually his birth. He was probably just saying all that, and he said, I'm gonna have a son. And that he and his friends... that they kill him in the future. What?
So, that is the season finale of Welcome to Derry. Now, there's another aspect to this that I need to show you. Because we've been talking a lot about the Land of Oz, haven't we? And I believe that this caravan of sleep children behind Pennywise reminds me of the Land of Oz, the Land of Sleep. In fact, Pennywise gets into a dream battle with Dick Halloran, who battles Pennywise. And he climbs into his head and he puts him into a dreamlike state. This is the only way they can stop Pennywise, temporarily. And so we have Pennywise putting the children into a sleep state, the Land of Oz, the dream state. So if Trump is in fact Pennywise, how else has he put people to sleep? Well, let's take a look at this re-upload that came under heavy, heavy, heavy fire by the controllers of the Matrix. But it was right over the target, showing proof that these people are steeped in the occult and they know exactly what they're doing, putting all of us to sleep. Let me check in with you guys and we'll get into this. All right, here we go, you guys. Look at all of the thumbs down on this video, but you're going to see why in a second. Remember, this is about Trump and the Land of Oz, the Land of Sleep. You ready? Watch. Well, this is the warp speed logo. And of course, there's a big spike protein. Well, let me check. Hold on. Let's fix the speed on this. Okay. Here we go. Protein in front of it, but behind it is a very specific symbol. The Antakarana. What is the Antakarana symbol? Well, we're going to talk about that. The anti-corona symbol means the 3 states of consciousness. Do I have your attention? I hope so, because this is serious business. Because we're going to go down a road of exposing the New Age roots of what we all just went through and where it's all headed. The anti-corona are the 3 or 4 states of consciousness: the waking state, the dream state, and the deep state, the deep sleep state. Now, let me go back into the chat here. Wow, right? What did you just watch? Well, you just saw us compare this symbol in the Warp Speed logo, which commissioned the vaccine, to a known occult symbol. There's the side-by-side. It's undeniable. You have to ask yourself, where did all these thumbs down come from? If we were right over the target on this, well, that's how the Matrix works. This is how it silences consent, gets you to click off of something and not listen. It's obvious that this is what is depicted here. It's the same symbol. And it's an occult symbol. Why was this chosen? Now, I got all kinds of bots that came into this show and they said, oh, Trump didn't make the logo. Oh, okay. Trump, the president who cares about every little detail, about every little thing, to the point where he's putting monikers and plaques underneath president's pictures and nickeling and diming every single little nickel and dime from the American people and giving it to the wealthy. You're telling me he did not know about this logo that he commissioned, Operation Warp Speed? Of course he knew about the logo. He would not have left this to chance. It's the same thing. It's an occult symbol, which is about deep sleep in consciousness. So we were already talking about this in 2022, is when this video originally uploaded. I re-uploaded it, came under heavy fire again. So now you know, okay? None of this is an accident. Now let me play some more of this. Actually, I'll just put a link to this for you guys, because that was pretty much the gist of it. Well, let's play a little bit more. Using the chat and all this stuff, back up a little bit, because there are still some people that don't understand that this is the same symbol. Warp Speed. Take a look at it, and now go right here. It's the same symbol. It's just rotated. They covered the center, so you can't see exactly what it is, but it's clear what it is. Now that we've established what this is, and that there is a New Age component to the Warp Speed logo, let's dig in a little bit deeper. Because you have to ask yourself, why is this symbol, the anti-corona, why is this on a vaccine logo, is the main question. And why was the likely originator of the logo, which was the person who headed up Warp Speed, his name was Moncef Slaoui, why was he also into hacking the mind and consciousness through the vagus nerve in his prior career? Bioelectronics is what he called it, and is on video right here on YouTube talking about his New Age beliefs and hacking the vagus nerve and bioelectronics, which is exactly what Elon Musk is doing right now. Now I'm going to interrupt myself, because anti-corona means anti-crown. And of course, there's the corona aspect to it as well. It's all coded, you guys. Now, this anti-corona symbol is also a Reiki symbol. Are you noticing something here yet? Jesus Christ is no part of any of this. It's all New Age. Now, if you're into New Age, all this should sound really exciting to you. And in fact, the first time we covered all this, when Operation Warp Speed launched, I was shocked. There were a bunch of New Agers that came to the channel in the comment section, praising this guy, Moncef Slaoui, and praising Trump for finally getting with the program about New Age healing. I was speechless, and I let those comments stand so you could see what is happening here. Wow, so we actually published this originally before the vaccine was ever even done yet. And here we are in the age of AI and everything else, and 6G, and now you're starting to see everything come full circle. Let's keep watching here. A man who says he's a Christian while presenting New Age in his actions. So this is the Antikarana symbol. It's also a Reiki symbol. And here's where things get really creepy. Because in Reiki, the Antikarana, is used electromagnetic radiation. Wow, let's keep listening here. This goes into the 5G and 6G as a healing symbol. Now I want to be very clear here because we've been talking a lot about electromagnetics and how Tesla fit into all this. Now that we're studying electric signals, this is the conduit and the foundation of these technologies. It's all about sending a signal, an electric signal, in through the nervous system and hacking it. It's about frequencies. Look at this. They use electromagnetic therapy along with visual images of this symbol. So in other words, they send a signal into your brain and they make you look at this Antikarana symbol and it does something. It puts you into some kind of fog state, some kind of hypnotic state. I'm just going to read this right off of the New Age website, you guys. Also referred to as electromagnetic therapy or EMT, radionics is a metaphysical science that claims an illness can be cured with electromagnetic radiation. So this is 5G. It supports the idea of using visual images in yantra meditation to influence the human consciousness and emotions on a psychic level. Now understand, I'm interrupting myself again back in 2025 here. Moncef Slaoui claimed that the frequency that he can send in through the vagus nerve could promote healing of organs. Okay, but in the same way that they think they can do that and modulate the frequency through bioelectronics, you could also have frequencies that make people sick. What the heck? Let's keep listening. For this reason, many believe that the Antikarana symbol itself affects the chakra in a positive way. This is the path, their path, to spiritual enlightenment, not giving your life to Jesus Christ. Even though its exact origins, I don't want to show you the symbol too much because apparently it has some kind of visual effect that we all got exposed to when Operation Warp Speed came out. Even though its exact origins are unclear, the Antikarana symbol represents various philosophical concepts of Buddhism and Hinduism. We were just talking about that the other day with Tina Turner, who spent the last 20 years of her life as a Buddhist. It's a symbol of healing. According to the beliefs of many Eastern religions, Antikarana has its own conscience, and its presence creates a positive effect in chakras and amplifies healing energies. Apart from Reiki healing, it's used in hypnotherapy. Oh, so we all just got hypnotized with this. Wow. Now I'll put a link to that decode, but I'm pretty much speechless re-listening to a video that we did before the vaccine ever completed being done in, I guess it was December 2020. Wow, let me check with you guys. We'll get into these Epstein files update. Let's do a poll. Start a poll. Do you think the Antikarana symbol matches the warp speed logo? Let's let that go. And let's get into these Epstein files. Now, today is the deadline. We're going to switch gears here. And today is the deadline of the Epstein files. Many people are already softening the target, telling us, oh, there's no way that they're going to, release all of the files. There are going to be, legal things going on to where we're not going to get all these, but there were some more photos released. I'm going to show you those right now. More photos of Epstein released. Let's go through these. Here's some writing on a girl's foot with a Lolita book in the background, and it says, she was low, plain low, in the morning, standing 4 feet 10 in one sock. So that obviously is referring to a child 4 feet 10. Unless they're talking about J-Lo, they're talking about Lolita, right? Unbelievable. 4 feet 10. Gosh, that sounds like 14 on the hand of Podesta, doesn't it? Remember, didn't it say something on his hand? 14 or something. We saw the cut thumb or something like that. You guys remember this? I need your help on that because I don't remember. But that could be connected to this in some way because this is how they speak. These people, they speak in code. All right. So most of you believe that this Antichrona symbol was the same, and I believe it as well. But what did it say on Podesta's hand? It said, let's see. Unbelievable. It said like 14. Podesta's fish on the hand. Yes. Let's see if we can find it. Podesta fish on hand. It's been a while, you guys. John, was it Tony Podesta or was it John? Let's see here. Here it is. There you go. Whoa, bingo. 14 kind of matches up with 4 feet 10 in one sock. Now, there were other images of passports, ID cards for women from Ukraine, the Russian Federation, South Africa, Italy, Czech Republic, Lithuania. They redacted all the information on those passports. There was a text message. It says, I don't know, try to send someone else. I have a friend, Scout. She sent me some girls today. Wants $1,000 per girl. Then, what else is there? An image shows Epstein's final U.S. passport, issued in March of 2019. Here's his passport. Then he's shaking hands with this person in border protection, border agent. So that would suggest trafficking as well. Like he had some kind of deal with them, right? To where he could get people across the border, maybe. One shot shows Epstein seated with 3 young women whose faces are all covered by black boxes. One appears to be putting a watch or a bracelet on his wrist, on the wrist of one of the women, while another shows work on a laptop, and third has her arms around Epstein. So here's what was going on. Here's the picture right here. Now, these women's faces are blacked out. You really can't tell how old they are. They could be over 18. We don't know. But this is spooky, isn't it? Weird. Now, what else? There's one of Epstein looking out an aircraft window. That's the thumbnail of today's show. And there's an unidentified woman seated next to him, and her face is covered with that's redacted. So, kind of a nothing sandwich still. But you got to ask yourself, are they leaking this stuff out so that Trump denies, and then they're just going to bust out with it today? That should happen later today. So, wow. Now, that's the update on Epstein. And on Sunday, we will be back. Trump just announced he will draft tributes from each state high schools, a boy and a girl from each state high school, to participate in what he's calling the Patriot Games, but it's really the Hunger Games. And we already predicted this 2 weeks ago. For those of you that follow along, you remember that when Trump announced the UFC fight at the White House, that we did a full decode on that being the Hunger Games, even before the mainstream media called it the Hunger Games. We said that. Let's do a poll so the new people can know that we already talked about this. Wow. Did Casey already predict the Trump Hunger Games before the mainstream media? Now, I have to document. I'm going to start documenting this because this happens every week. And the naysayers will come on and say, you're just making that up. Well, we're not making it up. And those that follow the channel know that every week we talk about something that happens 2 weeks later. And here we are with Trump just now announcing what amounts to a Hunger Games. The mainstream media is now calling it that. but we were already calling it that because we found that the UFC fight fell on the 4th of July, or will fall on the 4th, or the founding of this country, 4th of July. And that's exactly the plot of the Hunger Games. The Hunger Games took place on the 4th of July in the book and the movie franchise. And that was the comparison we made in the decode. Wow. Now, we are also going to poke holes in Trump's promises of a golden age of auto manufacturing based on his tariffs and other stories. We'll be also doing that as well. So, what a trip. I always knew there were people watching the channel that actually weren't on the channel for good reasons. Appears as though they voted against this. I can actually pull up, I'll put a link to the video in which we called it the Hunger Games before the mainstream media, so the rest of you can see that. I'll put the link in the pinned comment so you can see that. And you can do a date search on that, and that will be the oldest mention of a Hunger Games in the mainstream media in the video that we did. So that will be the proof. So I'm back in the chat, you guys. Golden Age of Farmers. $1958, the last year of the wheat penny. That might have significance. That was a pivotal year, that 1958, wasn't it? Something happened in 1958. Trump would be elected 58 years after 1958, and again 66 years after 1958. He would win the 58th and 66th presidential quadrennial elections. Trump's tower is numbered with both 58 floors as the top floor and 66 floors as the top floor. Trump Tower was completed in 1983, long before he ever knew he would win the 58th and 66th presidential quadrennial elections. He knew the future. Biff knew the future. All right, you guys, I'm going to put links to all this. And thank you so much for showing up today. I will see you guys on Sunday, and we'll cover the new Trump Hunger Games. Literally, a girl and boy from each state, just like in the Hunger Games, are going to compete. This is unbelievable, the reality that we're living in, you guys. Much love to you, and I'll see you guys on Sunday. Take care.